You know, Carter G. Woodson wrote The Miseducation of the Negro in 1933, and that's relevant today. Something else happened in 1933 that's relevant today, and our guest, Owen Woodard, tell us all about it here today on The Bernie Hayes Show. Well, Owen Woodard, welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, it's been a couple of years since you've been here. About 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years.
Okay. And today we're talking about something that happened in 1933. Tell us about it.
Actually, 1946.
46.
In 1933, that was kind of like the kickoff event.
Okay.
In 1933, 19-year-old black laborer named Cordy Cheek was falsely accused of raping a 12-year-old girl.
Right.
And he was subsequently kidnapped from the campus of Fisk University in Tennessee, and he was found in a swamp, naked, castrated, and his body was ridden with bullets. He had been lynched.
Okay, before Emmett Till.
Yeah, before Emmett Till, about some 20 years before Emmett Till.
Sure.
So after that event, the residents of Columbia, Tennessee, which was Cordy's hometown, decided that there would not be any more social lynchings in their county. And so anyway, in 1946, right after the Second World War, a young black man, he's also a veteran, his name was James Stevenson. He had accompanied his mother to the Castronot department store to argue about botched radio repair. And so anyway, there was a heated argument between Gladys Stevenson, his mother, and the white shopkeeper. And the white shopkeeper moved to hit or strike Gladys Stevenson. And so anyway, James Stevenson, he was a boxer for the Navy, so he wasn't going to stand for this man to beat his mother in front of him, so he stepped in between. Okay, so
the owner was white, and
the owner of the shop was white.
Yeah, okay.
And he actually was going to strike the
black woman.
The black woman,
okay.
Because she complained about a radio that had been her radio that had been. First of all, he botched the radio. He couldn't fix it because it was a sophisticated radio that James Stevenson had gotten overseas while he was serving, and it was a gift for his mother. Oh. So he wasn't familiar with the technology, so he ended up botching the repair. And then when she brought it back, he ended up selling the radio. So she had to go and get the radio back for the person he sold it to.
Wow.
And then took it back for a third repair, and then he just cut out of spite, he just cut the power cord and took out the battery compartment, so the radio was useless.
Wow.
So when she complained about that, then he got heated, she got heated, and then he decided he was going to try to move in to punch the woman. And so anyway, after the young black man intervened and defended his mother, they were leaving the store, and the white shopkeeper decided to punch the young black man in the back of the head. He sucker punched him. So the young black man didn't go down, and he proceeded to literally beat the brakes off of the white shopkeeper.
Sure.
And it spilled. The fight spilled over into town, and this is in broad daylight, middle of the afternoon, in front of the town square.
In Tennessee,
Columbia, Tennessee, 1946. Now, you can imagine this is the time. This is in the heat of the Jim Crow South.
Certainly,
during that time. And so you have a young black man standing up to a white man in defense of his mother. The Klan couldn't stand for that. So they were going to make another example out of the young black man. But word got to the black residents in the black part of town, which was called the Mink Slide. And that's actually an interesting story behind that nickname.
Okay.
But they got word of what was going to happen. So what they did was the young man and his mother were sent to jail. So they bailed the young man and his mother out of jail, got them out of Tennessee. So when the Klan came looking for them when night fell, they didn't find them. So, well, if we can't get them, we'll get you. And the black residents, and most of these were World War II veterans that just came back from fighting the Nazis.
Sure.
So they were not going to stand for these white supremacists to come into their town and to terrorize them and to destroy their community. So it led to a firefight that lasted a day and a night. And so the governor of Tennessee called a state of emergency and had the state guard come in and during the morning and just round up.
That's the National Guard?
It was the state guard, because the National Guard was still engaged overseas in Europe helping
So it was the Tennessee State Guard?
It was the Tennessee State Guard.
Okay.
So the Tennessee State Guard came and they rounded up and arrested over 100 men and women of the black neighborhoods. And so 25 of those men were charged with attempted murder because during that firefight, 4 police officers were shot. And so they charged them with attempted murder. Word got to the NAACP that these men were in trouble. And so the NAACP sent down a crackerjack legal team, which consisted of Leon Ransom, Maurice Weaver, Z. Alexander Luby, and future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall.
Wow. Okay.
And so, due to this crackerjack legal team, all 25 men who were charged with attempted murder walked free.
Wow.
And so, but that's not the end of the story.
Quite a landmark.
Quite a landmark indeed. So that's not the end of the story. The Ku Klux Klan was so enraged by this that they actually kidnapped Thurgood Marshall with the intent of lynching him.
Wow.
And so his colleagues, with the quick thinking of his colleagues and also the men that he just defended in court, they were able to rescue him and get him out of Tennessee. Wow. And so, it's quite a story. I was amazed at the fact that, despite 12 years of public school, 4 years of undergrad, and 3 years of graduate school, I had never heard this story until about 5 years ago.
Well, no one's heard it until you told it in this area, and exactly. I assume that's the reason you ventured on this project that you're on now. Tell us what that's about.
And we're just scraping the surface. There is a treasure trove of a history of African American men and women that are just now coming to light. I mean, you look at films such as Hidden Figures with Taraji Henson and Octavia Spencer. No one knew of a story of 3 black women helping NASA, launch men up to the moon. Sure. The fact that there's so much there's so many contributions of African American men and women that have been ignored up until now. And so this story, to me, that's why it's so important for me to memorialize this event in film. Because film is something that is not only lasting, but it has it has a definite impression on people when they see things played out in front of them.
It can really penetrate the psyche.
Exactly, and it can also inspire. Because I think that's the one thing that our young people nowadays lack. They lack pride in their history because their history has been hidden from them.
Okay, let's take a look at this poster.
Okay.
It says a young black man. It's called the Mink Slide, right?
It's called the Mink Slide.
The poster.
Yeah, the reason why it's called the Mink Slide is because the way the Black Business District is set up in Columbia, Tennessee, is right next to the Duck River. And in the Duck River, there are a lot of wild otters or minks within that area. And so anyway, the white residents of Columbia, Tennessee used to dump their trash in the black neighborhoods. And so wild otters and minks would come and scurry through the trash at night. And then in the morning, they would slide right back into the swamp. So they called it the Mink Slide.
Okay. And also the book itself, The Color of the Law, Race, Violence, and Justice in the Post-World War II South. What's that about?
Okay, that is actually the book was written by a historian, Dr. Gail Williams O'Brien. She's an historian teaching now at the University of North Carolina. Okay. She actually wrote the book back in 1990. Okay. And it was a book that detailed all of the different events that happened within the 1946 Columbia, Tennessee race riot. And when I contacted Dr. Gail, after learning about the story, when I contacted her, she gave me a treasure trove of information. She had interviews, she had study guides, she had the court transcripts, and I was able to go through all. It took me a year to go through all of the information that she had sent me and to be able to condense it down to where I was able to write the screenplay. Okay. And it was just, the book is still available. It's online. You can go to Amazon and pick up the book.
The Color of the Law.
It's called The Color of the Law, Race, Violence, and Justice in the Post-World War II South by Dr. Gail Williams O'Brien. Okay. It's an excellent book.
I want to come back. I understand that we have a little piece of the trailer we can show in our next segment.
Okay.
That's good. Owen Woodard is my guest today. Owen's been with us before and we're here talking about The Color of Law and the Mink Slide, a new film that he's producing. In the meantime, we're at the 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, the New Life Evangelistic Center. The 1411 Locust Street location is closed, but Reverend R.A. Rice and others are working very, very hard to restore that facility. And perhaps you may be visiting us downtown at 1411 Locust Street. But in the meantime, we're at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. And we would just have the same services that we were providing down there. Same services, still feeding the hungry, still providing clothing for the poor, still providing water and so forth. But we need your help and support. And we can continue these programs through your help through Post Office Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166, or online at www.newlifeevangelisticcenter. That's one word, newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. And MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover Card takes less than 2 minutes for your investment in the New Life Evangelistic Center. And that's what it's for, new life. We provide new life for so many with your help and support. Back with Owen Woodard after this.
An epidemic of homelessness is sweeping throughout the United States of America. In city after city, people are ending up on the streets. Now, instead of feeling overwhelmed, as believers, we can do three things. We can give, we can volunteer, and we can pray. We can pray for the homeless refugees that we're finding in one city after another, all over the United States. So many people ending up out on the streets, and the hearts of so many are growing cold at this particular time and indifferent to the need. Jesus said, as oft as you've done it to the least of these, he said, even so you've done it unto me. When's the last time you've prayed for the homeless refugees in the United States of America, appearing in city after city, not only in major cities, but even smaller cities? So many people ending up out on the streets, even in resort areas, places you never think you'd find homeless people, they're there. Jesus said, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head. Please pray for the refugees. Please pray for the homeless people in America. And pray for those that are on the front lines, the first responders, reaching out through Jesus Christ among the homeless and hurting, whether it's in Springfield or St. Louis. Your prayers and gifts to the New Life Evangelistic Center makes a big difference. This New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, is 63166.
2 Timothy 1, verse 10.
But it has now been revealed through the appearing of our Savior, Jesus Christ, who has destroyed death and has brought life and immortality to light through the gospel.
John 11, verses 25 and 26.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Welcome back. My guest is Owen Woodard. He's the author of, at least producer of a brand new film coming in 2019 called The Mink Slide. And Owen, how important is this to you?
This film is extremely important to me, Mr. Hayes. As I mentioned before, there is so much that has been, so many contributions of African Americans that have been hidden from us up until now, and how important it is for our progeny to know their history, to understand whose shoulders they stand on. And because not only does it give them a sense of pride, but it also gives them a sense of obligation and responsibility to carry on that tradition of the brave men and women that came before them.
Let's look at a little bit of the trailer that you have for the new movie.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, that's pretty exciting, Owen Woodard. And, I'm
Thank
looking
you very
forward to
much.
that. Where was it shot?
It was actually shot here in St. Louis, over on the south side in South Grand.
Okay.
Yes, we found a nice little lot where we'll be able to put that on, and then we have a dark, dank basement.
Okay.
And the actors in that segment were also very phenomenal. And shout out to Demetrius Thomas, who was actually my videographer and editor, that did an excellent job.
I understand Antonio Fargas has a part coming.
Yeah, Mr. Antonio Fargas, I met him through Ron Himes over at the Black Rep.
Sure.
I've approached Mr. Antonio Fargas, and we're now in talks to have him be the lead.
Negotiations.
In negotiations, negotiations. But I sent Mr. Fargas the script. He loved it. He said that he would be interested. And so right now we're negotiating all the fine print and making sure that we can come to a mutually beneficial agreement. But I think that that's going to happen.
Why is this important to you, and why do you think that the people will be interested in the Mink Slide and also the book, The Color of the Law?
Well, I think it would be interesting because recently there have been reports that there have been a rise in racially charged violence. We had the burning of the 3 churches down in Louisiana, historically black churches in Louisiana. Right. And we have more incidents of people who are, there was an incident, I believe was it in Texas, where a young African-American woman was beaten by a white man over a parking space. Yes. And so we have more and more incidents of this, of racially charged violence. So I believe that we need to have a story of how, the people actually defended themselves. We had black residents that defended themselves. One of the most sacrosanct rights here in this country is the right to bear arms and the right to protect yourself and your property and your families. Right. And that's what these men were exercising. But the fact that they had the wrong color was the reason why they were prosecuted. But at the same time, we had an apparatus in place that were able to come in and defend these men's rights. We had the NAACP who acted as an advocate, and then they were able to send in Z. Alexander Luby and Thurgood Marshall in order to defend these men. So I think that we've lost our way, and right now the institutions that were at one time, strong advocates for us now have become either disinterested, or they've become, their effect has been diluted. Okay. And now we need to have them to go back to the essentials, to go back to basics, as it were, so that they can find their true purpose and they can also fulfill the role that they were, that they were created for, and that is to be a strong advocate for those for the powerless, for the voiceless.
Sure. How can they reach you?
I have, you can call me, of course. My number is 314-295-1647.
I wish I was that fast.
I'm sorry, I need to slow down. My number is 314-295-1647. And you can also go on Kickstarter.com. I'm starting a Kickstarter campaign. I'm just trying to raise $1,500. I've really pretty much invested my life savings, my 401k, and into this film because that's how important I feel it is. So, but you can go to my Kickstarter campaign. It's www.kickstarter.com/profile/the Mink Slide. Okay. And you can make $1. You can pledge $1. You can pledge $5, $500, $1,000, whatever you can spare. However, this story, if it touches you, if you feel like it's important, if you feel as if this is something that you want your children to see, something you want your grandchildren to see, so that they can see who's the shoulders that they stand on. That will also give them a sense of pride and also a sense of responsibility to carry on that proud tradition.
This is wonderful. This is really, really great. I'm so proud of you and the things that you're doing, and I'm quite sure it's going to be a very successful project. In the meantime, Reverend Larry Rice has written a book. It's called How St. Louis Gentrifiers Tried to Destroy Church Because of Its Homeless Congregation. It's called Through the Fire by Reverend Larry Rice. And you've been down to our old facility at 1411 Locust Street, and you supported Reverend Larry Rice so many, many times, so many years. Absolutely. He wants you to have this book.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the Bertie Hayes Show cup, the mug that's on the table here, we want you to have one too. And Reverend Larry Rice is is passionate about getting one to you in this house, in your home, for your morning coffee, for your morning tea, for your evening water. Here's how you can do it. Reverend Larry Rice.
Hello, I'm Larry Rice, Director of the New Life Evangelistic Center. I want to encourage you to get your Bernie Hayes mug. And in addition to sharing a very special gift of $25 or more so we can get back into 1411 Locust, I have a historical book that I want to add to the mug to enable you to get the complete history of what took place between 2012 and 2018 to shut down a church at 1411 Locust because its congregation were primarily homeless people. We're going to share both of these with you if you'll share your gift now so we can get back into the 1411 Locust building and help the hundreds and hundreds of people that are suffering at this time that literally have nowhere to go. I thank God for Bernie Hayes and his faithful years of service, for his program that has touched the lives of so many people. And now we're teaming up with Bernie Hayes, sharing the Bernie Hayes mug and Through the Fire book, if you'll just share that gift of $25 or more. Now be sure you request the Bernie Hayes mug and the Through the Fire book, and you know that you'll be a part of great things God is doing.
We'll return to our guests after this Black History moment. Alexander Miles is a 19th century African-American inventor known best for patenting his design for improving and automatically opening and closing elevator doors. Miles became concerned with the dangerous risk associated with elevators when he noticed that the shaft left open during a ride with his daughter. And due to people forgetting to close shaft doors before utilizing the elevator, there were many reported incidents of people falling into the shafts. It was Miles' innovation that made electric-powered elevator doors widely accepted around the world. And today the influence of this patent is present in modern designs for elevator systems in which automatic doors are a standard feature. Partly because of the success of his invention, Miles is known to be the wealthiest African-American in the Pacific Northwest region by the time of his death in May 1918. In 2007, he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Alexander Miles.
Now you can take NLEC TV anywhere as you put the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. NLEC TV is an innovative TV station that's on the cutting edge of community service. When you tune in to NLEC TV, you'll discover a television station that has been operated by previously homeless individuals who have received broadcast training through New Life Evangelistic Center's unique on-the-job training program. On NLEC TV, you'll discover wholesome family, community, renewable energy, and inspirational programming. Those needing energy assistance, food, clothing, or freedom from the cycle of homelessness will find that plus much more on NLEC TV. Now, you can receive NLEC TV by going to 24.2 on your television set or putting the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. For further information, call 314-436-2424 or go to nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org.
Welcome back. Owen Woodard is my guest, and he's the producer of a brand new movie coming this year called The Mink Slide. And Owen, for those who might have joined us late, tell us just a brief overview of what The Mink Slide is about, what the movie's about, and why.
Well, it's actually based on a true story. Mm-hmm. It's based on the events of the 1946 Columbia race riot that happened after a young black man stood up for his mother being assaulted by a white supremacist, and then the Klan were planning to lynch both the mother and the son. And the black residents of Columbia, Tennessee, most of whom were World War II veterans, decided to band together. They rescued the young man and his mother, got them out of Tennessee, and when the Klan came, they defended themselves and their property. And for their trouble, they were charged with attempted murder by the state of Tennessee. The NAACP sent a legal team that defended all 25 men. They all walked free. And then the Klan decided to kidnap Thurgood Marshall, who was one of the defense team. And due to the quick thinking of his colleagues and those men that he had defended in court, he was rescued. So this is a film that has been, this is a story that has not been told. It was actually the subject of a book, The Color of the Law by Dr. Gail Williams O'Brien.
The Color of the Law.
Yeah, and I was able to obtain Mrs. O'Brien's permission, Dr. O'Brien's permission, in order to convert her book into a screenplay, which is called The Mink Slide. And we are going to have this film produced later this year, and it will probably be available for release, hopefully by Christmas.
Great. You know, so many stories like the Mink Slide, like those people fighting back, they're never told. But we weren't so passive. African Americans, black people really did fight back in the South. But these stories aren't told. And I'm just glad that you have the courage, and also Dr. O'Brien had the courage to write about this, and that now we'll be able to see The Color of the Law, the book itself, Race, Violence, and Justice in the Post-World War II South. And it's just a true story, and it's a true story about Thurgood Marshall that was almost kidnapped by the Ku Klux Klan. That's fascinating.
Absolutely.
It's tragic, but it's a story we don't know about and we should know about. Absolutely. What about the other aspects of the Mink Slide itself? What do you hope the people who watch the Mink Slide will get from it?
Well, I hope that they will get a sense of pride, as I said before, from the history of of knowing the kind of people that run through their bloodline. Mm-hmm. Because we're all this story, because it wasn't only just these particular men and women that went through this. Sure. You had people all throughout the South, and these stories aren't told. You have the Deacons of Defense, which were deacons, these were black men that actually stood up. Exactly. Yeah, they actually stood up, and they fought against racial violence. Yeah. And so now we have, currently we have an uptick of crimes, that are racially violent crimes within our country. So it seems that old element, it never really died. It became more sophisticated, it became more insidious, but it's still there, and it still needs to be confronted. We still need to protect ourselves from these forces that would have us move back to Jim Crow. Certainly. That would have us move back to that time. So we have to be steadfast. We have to realize we have to know our history. We have to know the responsibility that lays upon us to not only protect ourselves and our homes, but our children and our grandchildren.
How can we reach you and get more information on the Mink Slide and also the Color of Law?
Okay. Well, you can contact me. My phone number is going to be 314-295-1647. Again, that's 314-295-1647. And you can also go to my Kickstarter. It's www.kickstarter.com/profile/the Mink Slide.
Okay. That's www.kickstarter.com/profile/the Mink Slide.
Absolutely.
Okay, and they can contact you and get more information on the book itself.
Absolutely.
Can people, I guess when the movie is ready to premiere, we'll have you back.
Oh, yes.
So we can talk about it.
Oh, I'll meet you at the premiere, Mr. Hayes. You and Miss UV Hayes, you will be the first ones in line.
You're very kind.
Right, walking the red carpet along with me.
Thank you so much, Owen. Good luck with all your projects and so many things that you do. I'm very, very proud just to know you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you. And thank you, too, for supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center. Some of you have been supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center for many, many years, and Reverend Larry Rice has been here nearly 50 years, providing services for those in need. We continue to thank you for all the support that you've given us, and continue to ask that you continue to invest in the New Life Evangelistic Center. We're 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Come visit us. 2428 Woodson Road, Overland, Missouri. St. Louis, Missouri, Overland, Missouri, 63114. I'm Bernie Hayes. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for supporting us. Have a great day.